What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about, can Baker Mayfield end up next season as a top 10 quarterback? So let's see what they have to say about that.
After this impressive performance, Ryan, are the Browns going to live up to the hype this season?
They absolutely are. And this is going to be the time where Will says something like, well, it was only one series, even though he's ready to start a quarterback controversy.
Playing chess,
quarterback controversy because of Daniel Jones. When you look at this team and what Baker Mayfield was able to do right out of the gate last year, breaking the touchdown record for rookies and kind of the proficiency he played and efficiency he played the quarterback position with. Now, you add to that you have Odell Beckham Jr., you get Kareem Hunt in the middle of the season, and think about what are some of the expectations of this team. One is they're going to be explosive offensively. Two is that they're going to challenge to win the AFC North. And those are two things that this team is most certainly going to do. Baker Mayfield is going to take a step up and ascend into the top 10 quarterbacks of this NFL, of this league, maybe even be a Pro Bowl quarterback, depending on how this team plays and the rest of the quarterback.
To be a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Well, I'm not talking.
So I'm definitely high on the Cleveland Browns. I think they're definitely stacked. I think they're definitely going to have a good year, and I have high expectations for them. What was it? Last night, they had a playoff game against the Washington Redskins where the Cleveland Browns beat them 30-10. So what Ryan was talking about is Baker Mayfield only had one drive, but on that one drive, he went 5 for 6 for 77 yards, 1 touchdown, and no picks. So I know this is only the first preseason game, and he only had one drive, but those are great numbers to be going in and starting momentum going into the football season. And just for the record, the Washington Redskins quarterback rookie Dwayne Haskins, he went 8 for 14 for 117 yards and 2 picks. So needless to say, Dwayne Haskins and the Washington Redskins will be doing some film, which you don't want to panic because it's only the first game, preseason game. So this should be good. But back to the Cleveland Browns, I think they're definitely going to do good this year. They're stacked, and I definitely have high expectations for them. So let's continue.
About an alternate, right? I'm not talking about a guy that just gets in, but a guy that is voted there. He's also going to be the leader of this team. I was in this building in the offseason. I saw the way that he walked around and commanded the respect of the other players on this team. And then when you watch him throw the football, the accuracy, the zip, some of the things we talked about with Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield was the first installment of that. But we watched him do it on this level. This is the most talented offensive roster from a skill position standpoint in the entire NFL. And that includes the Los Angeles Rams. That includes the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the most dynamic quarterback in the league. None of those teams will be able to do offensively what they do in the ways that the Cleveland Browns can create mismatches all over the field. It's going to be pick your poison, and it's going to be a great year for Freddie Kitchens and this team.
I think you're wrong. But here's where I think you mess up. Okay, here's where I think you're wrong. You have wrongly assessed what the hype is on the Browns. I don't think that's all it's required to live up to the hype is to be an explosive offense and challenge in the AFC North. I think the hype for the Browns right now is at the highest of levels. The way people talk about the Cleveland Browns, and in ways, the way you're talking about the Cleveland Browns right now, we're talking about AFC Championship game. We're talking about absolute winner of the AFC North. And I think they will fall short of those types of measures.
So I might be inclined to agree with Will Kane there, just for a simple fact, this is going to be the first year playing together, getting team chemistry and start to gel and get the timing down. But I think they could probably maybe make the playoffs. When they do make the playoffs, people would be happy with that because what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, the Cleveland Browns went 0 for 16. So if 2 years later from that, they could have a stacked team and make the playoffs, I think they'll be okay with that. Now, as far as winning the AFC North, it might be a possibility. That's going to be a good game against Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I don't know who's going to win the AFC North. As far as, like I said, the Cleveland Browns making the playoffs, I think they have the potential to make the playoffs because they're that stacked to get over the hump of playing against any other team. Now, as far as making a deep run or going to the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl, I don't think they're there yet. I just don't think they're there. And as far as the AFC, their division, they're going to have to go through a tough division because they're going to have to go through the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. They're going to have to go to the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They're going to have to go through Andrew Luck and Indianapolis Colts. They're going to have to go through Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they might take care of in the AFC North. So they're playing a tough division too, but they have all the potential in the world. So let's continue.
I believe this is a playoff team. I believe it's at a minimum got to make the second round of the playoffs to live up to the hype that's been set for them now. And I don't think that they will. I think they still trail the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC North. Now, here's the thing. I can't keep up with the pendulum, man. The hype pendulum is out of control, Ryan. A year ago, I'm not going to say I was the only one, but I was one of the few who were like, Baker Mayfield needs to go number 1 overall.
So
I don't want to hear about
hype. So you were listening to me when I was telling people that.
Too?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we were all right. We're together. I didn't want to hear about height. I didn't want to hear about, how tall quarterbacks need to be. I didn't want to hear about system. I didn't want to hear about all of that. I'm a Texas Longhorn fan, and I saw what that guy could do against my team and the way and why he was able to do it. I believe in Baker Mayfield. And at the time, were we not kind of in the minority on that?
Yeah,
on the Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely.
Now, here we are a year later, and the hype swings, the pendulum swings so far the other way, I can't keep up.
But
Top 10 quarterback.
Why did it swing, though?
Because
he
everybody's
balled out.
Ryan, because everybody's a follower. It's not just because of what
It's a combination of things why everybody's jumping on the bandwagon of the Cleveland Browns. For one thing, Baker Mayfield has turned out to be a baller, even though we still need to see what he's going to do this year. They picked up Kareem Hunt within the past year from the Kansas City Chiefs. They picked up Odell Beckham Jr. from the New York Giants. So a lot has happened in the past year is why everybody's jumping on the Cleveland Browns bandwagon, because they're stacked and they have a lot of potential. That is why the pendulum has swung. So let's continue.
He did great. He did. But it's because everybody's like, oh, that Browns thing turned out. Let me see if I can be the fastest and the furthest now that it's kind of obvious they're going to be good. That's why it's out of control. The real assessment of the Cleveland Browns is this. They look great on paper. You're right. That skill position group with Nick Chubb and Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and David Njoku and Baker Mayfield looks great on paper, as does what they've added on defense. It's still led by a rookie head coach, much less a guy who spent hardly any time as the offensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. And he has to not only bring all those egos, all those personalities together, he's got to keep them together under pressure. And the type of hype that is being put on them is pressure.
But this is what you missed.
See, but it's a lot of pressure for the Cleveland Browns. But like I said, 2 or 3 years ago, they were coming off of an 0-16 season. So to have them cold 2 or 3 years later, now they have a stacked team and they can look at possibly making the playoffs and making a deep run. I think if they could just make the playoffs, I think they'll be happy. I think that'll be a successful year for them if they can just get away and get the playoffs, and maybe next year, go a little bit deeper, and maybe by the third year, make it to the Super Bowl and possibly win. But like I said, the Cleveland Browns have been down for a while. So if they can just make the playoffs, if not win 2 more games than they did last year, I think the people in Cleveland will be very happy with how things turned out. So let's continue.
Oh, what personalities is it, right? You have Baker Mayfield, who obviously had personality, and you have Odell Beckham Jr., right? Odell Beckham Jr., a guy who posted a picture this morning of a rookie who was sleeping outside of the Cleveland Browns facility as his mood. You know why? Because talking to people in that building, he's taken this guy under his wing. He's made sure that this guy is okay. He's been a great teammate, which he's been throughout his career. Some of the personality things we see from Odell Beckham happen as implosions. It doesn't involve the quarterback. It doesn't involve the head coach. It's Odell Beckham wanting to be a better him at game time. Right? We don't hear things from Jarvis Landry. We don't hear things from David Njoku. We don't hear things from Nick Chubb. So I believe this personality chemistry thing is overblown. Here's the other thing. Odell Beckham Jr. has always been this guy, right? He had these type of emotions at LSU. You know why you never heard about him? Because when number 3, which Odell Beckham Jr. was at LSU, when he was going through these things, number 80 walked over. And for the first time in his career, number 80's there again, right? That guy is able to go walk over and say, hey, we need to do this. We need to do that. That guy is there to say, hey, brother, we are in this together.
Obviously, you're big on Pittsburgh in the AFC North. Do you think that the Browns' talent that they possess is enough to win out the AFC North?
I do. And I believe that the AFC North will get 2 teams into the playoffs. And I believe those teams are the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've always believed that. I'm not out on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand there'll be some rebuilding there, but I just love what the Cleveland Browns have. And the other thing I think we're missing from the hype train is this. For everybody that's hyped about it, that's talking about what they can be on paper offensively, there's the Will Kings. There's so much coming from the outside saying, yeah, we know that you guys are talented, but we don't think you can handle it from a personality standpoint. We don't think you can handle it from a chemistry standpoint. What happens when the pressure goes on and you lose a game? I think that brings guys together.
Don't mistake the unknown for saying that they cannot. Don't mistake what I'm saying as the Browns will not be able to bring this together. What I'm pushing back on is the way that question is asked. Will they live up to the hype? The hype is out of control. And I acknowledge that the Browns are an unknown. But you know what's a known? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Even with Juju Smith-Schuster, even with James Conner, with one of the top 10 defenses in the NFL, I feel like it's a known that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be there. We're going to have to see about the Browns.